Louis, of course, another test to come at home tomorrow with Barnet visiting this time round. But first things first, how has everyone been looking this week? How the spirit's been and how's everything been going for you so far?
Yeah, the group's in a really good place. I think it was a very enjoyable day for players, staff, fans, everyone a part of the football club last week with the 3 points, going top of the league. The way that we played was probably the most rewarding part of it, and obviously coming over the extra adversity of going down to 10 men with 30 minutes to go just shows, you know, our footballing principles and our togetherness when they're on point. There isn't many people that can stop us. So that feel-good factor has been riding high throughout the week. We've had some really good training into the boys, you know, especially Tuesday, Wednesday, getting a high spike in them that we do physically, going through the review of the game and preparing for Barnet in a very systematic and very detailed way, because ultimately they're a very good opposition. They have evolved from last season and we're aware of that, and we've got a clear game plan and the boys are ready to go.
In terms of, I know league standings are obviously a bit of a strange thing early on in the season, but still a positive nonetheless that of course he's a top of those league standings at the moment. I know Regan mentioned with his sort of contract extension stuff that it was almost like the challenge had been kind of laid down from the coach and staff that, you know, now the boys are top of the league, it's another challenge for them to try and stay there really now. Yeah,
for sure. I think we're in a very privileged position where, you know, after 6 games, regardless how early in the season it is, that we're top of the table. I think, you know, in sport and in football, you spend a lot of time chasing top of the pack and whoever's number one in your league table or your group or whatever format you compete in. So I think you've got to enjoy it when you're there. What we have told the boys, and I think the boys are crystal clear on, is that it's one effort to get to compete at the top end of the table. It's another level of effort to get to top, but then comes a whole new ball game and a whole new challenge of staying there, because ultimately you've got that target on your back and everyone wants to beat you, because that's the mentality when you play top of the table. Everyone's got that extra level of arousal and everyone's got that extra probably competitive edge because they know they have to be top of the game to get something out of it. So with all that in mind, you know, we dissect that, we process that, we talk about that together as a group. We've chosen how we're going to use that to fuel going forward, which is that we're going to enjoy it while we're at the top and we're going to see how long we can stay there. That comes full circle though. Ultimately, it comes back to tomorrow, preparing right, making sure that once again we outrun our opposition, and then we stick to our principles. We play, you know, the way that we want to play, we attack it like a Gateshead football team does, and if we get any success, it will always come from that process-driven mentality.
Yeah, and touching on Regan a little bit, of course, with his contract extension this week, how pleasing is it to you know, get someone of his calibre and someone who started the season so well, sort of locked down for an extra year on his pre-existing deal?
It's hugely exciting for the football club. It shows the evolution of, you know, the journey that we've been on the last couple of years, the fact that we are now tying down, you know, some of our best players and some of the best players in the league that frankly had a lot of interest over the summer from teams in this division and higher, and that they want to commit to the cause and to the journey and to where we're trying to go next. Regan, you know, epitomises everything about Gateshead Football Club in the fact that he's a fantastic human being. He works so hard on and off the pitch. He covers, you know, the most ground consistently throughout the games, and then his talent is on top of that, and everyone can see how good he's been, and he dictates the way that we play, which just makes it all, you know, extra special to work with Regan on a daily basis, because he's a really enjoyable character to be around and he's so infectious. So he's huge for Gateshead Football Club. It's a fantastic statement, and I'm sure he'll be using, you know, the success that he's had already at the start of the season, the contract, you know, tying him down for the club longer. He's obviously, you know, ready to take us to the next level.
And a new arrival as well in Ryan Carr, coming on loan from Ipswich, someone who you know previously from the past as well. what is it that he's going to kind of bring to the side, and how has that sort of come about in bringing him to the club?
Yeah, Ryan's someone I knew from my coaching days at Newcastle. He's had a good journey in Newcastle, then went to Carlisle, then made the switch across to Ipswich as well. Ultimately, we're looking for competition across our squad. And with a few injuries as well, it's kind of turned our hand to look external at the football club to bring that depth, that competition across the board. He's versatile and he can play in midfield, he can play in wide areas as well, so he's got really good energy. And he's had a really good upbringing at Carlisle and most recently at Ipswich, who are obviously a ball-playing team, but also as well he got real good game time last season at Averley, which is obviously the trend that you look for, someone who's doing well at under 21s level, that's then went out on loan, and the natural progression is for him to go from Conference South to our level, Conference National. So it ticked a lot of boxes. Probably one of the most important box was the fact that he's a good person, he's prepared to come in here and earn his position, compete for positions, and he's prepared to go on the journey. So it's great to have Ryan in. Like I say, he's going to add an extra dimension to our squad as a balance overall, and you provide competition across the board, and it's another good person to fuel us going forward.
Yeah, and looking at tomorrow's game, probably similar in a sense to last week, in that it's two sides obviously both competing at the top end of the division at the minute, and two sides who intend to stay there come the end of the season. So how he's looking ahead to tomorrow in what is ultimately another big test for you?
We're looking to attack the game. We always know that the games against Barnet are highly competitive, are highly technical and tactical. Both teams can play out from the back under pressure. Both teams look to press. Both teams can effectively go longer if need to attack and exploit spaces. So, like I mentioned before, we've had some fantastic games against Barnet, but probably most importantly, we're both fighting for them top positions at the top end of the table now and between now and the end of the season. And then obviously the last bit is that ultimately they're coming to our place and we're top of the table, and we're going to have that target on our back, as I've already alluded to. So it's going to be a fantastic game of football, really looking forward to it, but we're going to attack it our way, the Gateshead way, which is what we're most looking forward to.
Yeah, and how are things looking on the fitness side of things for the boys? Obviously a Saturday to Saturday kind of break, probably you haven't had too many times, even though we're only right at the start of the season so far.
Yeah, it's a blessing, to be honest with you. Obviously the weekend before being the bank holiday weekend where you're playing Saturday, Monday, a lot of players are at risk at that match day +2. So we obviously made changes. The guys have had a bit of time off since then, and to have that luxury of going a 7-day period that you can get the right rest, you can get a lot of spike in physically, but most importantly you can get a lot of detail into the group as well. So we've been able to reinforce our concepts and our style of play, as well as prepare with a good period of time that it doesn't feel rushed, ready for the Barnet game. So yeah, it's been really good, and we're just in a very good place come tomorrow.